Welcome to episode 161 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name's Trent. I'm here with Jason, and we got some Kiss for you today.
Kiss! KissOnline.com.
There you go. Visit that. Give them some of your money.
Yes, get a Kiss condom.
There you go. And a Hello Kitty diaper bag with
Yes.
Kiss face paint.
And as I mentioned before, get you a pack of air guitar strings.
Of course.
Just saying.
Well, Kiss every album in a row is the topic of this one.
That's what we're doing today.
And we've got CJ McClellan from the band GRIND joining us. This is the first every album in a row that we've had someone join us. So it's pretty cool.
And thank God we did, actually.
Right. Yeah, we needed someone on this one because both of us are Kiss fans.
Yes.
But neither one of us is one of those people that are diehards that have been through, since the 70s or the early 80s or whatever. We came in the late 80s, early 90s. So it's good to have CJ here to add a little more perspective to some of this stuff because he's got more knowledge on this than us.
Yes. And, for me, we listened to these records a while back. And I don't make notes for this stuff. This is definitely a lesson learned. I will now, going forward.
You don't have to tell people that.
I'm honest.
You're
because
being
they're
transparent.
gonna when they hear this, they're gonna know. Well, Jason's an idiot.
Yeah.
See, you agree. You said yeah. So my thing was, because usually I don't need to, but there's so many Kiss records. It spans over 4 decades or whatever, and so I forgot some stuff and I boned up on what I could and tried to refresh on what I could, but. And then, but there's also CJ was such an authority. He kind of taught both of us some stuff. So it was really cool. And CJ knows his Kiss stuff. And, I couldn't imagine this. And now that we did it, I couldn't imagine this episode without him. So this is great. This is really great.
Yeah, there's been a few of the ones we've done in the past where someone would say, why didn't you have me on it? And we just didn't really think about it. And it's always people that know a lot about that band.
Definitely.
But so, maybe going forward, every time we do one of these, it might be cool to pick out someone that we know that's a huge fan of whatever the band is.
Yeah, so Jimmy's Chicken Shack is next.
Yeah.
Anybody that is a huge authority on that band, get in touch with us.
I think Andy from Fist of Rage, that's his second favorite band behind Elastica.
Bam.
All right.
There you go.
That. All right. Well, every album in a row, to explain to you, is a thing that previously we did as a YouTube exclusive. This is the first one we put up on the podcast.
Yes.
Because, F YouTube, basically. We don't care anymore.
We can do what we want.
Yeah. So what we do, to give you a nutshell of the way this works, is it's exactly what it says, every album in a row. We take every single studio album, and all the previous bands, all we did was studio albums, and if there was any albums that had unreleased tracks, B-sides and stuff like that. Kiss is the first band we decided to throw in some live stuff because the live is so iconic. And Unplugged is something that all of us love.
It's so badass.
So, I'm sure if we did Alice in Chains one day, we would probably have to throw in Unplugged because it's so revered, it's so huge, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right.
So we just kind of pick and choose as that goes.
That'd be a good idea to do, too, one day.
Yeah, without a doubt. But yeah, so we just start track one, go to the final track, listen to it all in a row. Most of the songs you've heard a million times, but when you listen to it all in a row, you really hear how stuff changed in the late 70s and the early 80s, and then again, early 80s and early 90s, and then again, late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So Kiss, has I believe the largest catalog we've done this with.
Yeah.
In the past, we've done this with Metallica, Megadeth, Pantera, Ozzy, Guns N' Roses. Is that everything?
Motley Crue.
Yeah. So, and there's several other ones we've talked about doing, we just haven't got to yet. But Kiss is the subject of the day. Before we get into this with CJ, let you know that GRIND is a band you need to check out. At We Are The GRIND on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram as well. Follow them, like them. They've got tons of great music. Just our very last episode, 160, we played their song Bridges.
Yes.
Because it won Single of the Year at the Tulsa Music Awards here a couple weeks ago.
It definitely is that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Last time CJ was on here was with Dell, the singer. of GRIND, and that was back at episode 134. So go back and check that out. We talk about all kinds of stuff. They've been on here twice, and we always get pretty deep with those guys because they're extremely easy to talk to. Well, we're ready to just jump into this thing because it's a long one.
Yeah, roll it.
Here's CJ McClellan with us for Kiss's every album in a row.
Record I ever bought was Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up. I bought them right at the same time. It was about 7th grade. And I can remember being a little kid, 5, 6 years old, and having the Kiss dolls and Kiss lunchboxes, back in the mid-70s. And knowing Kiss as a kid as these iconic, almost like superhero, cartoonish characters. And every once in a while, we didn't have cable back then. Every once in a while, you'd catch them on American Bandstand or something. They'd have those pre-recorded tracks they'd play to. Yeah. So that was my version of Kiss. And I actually can remember being probably 6 thinking that Hot Blooded was a Kiss song. I was like, man, I love that Kiss song, Hot Blooded. And my aunt's like, that's not Kiss. I'm like, yes, it is. They had to have written that song. But it wasn't until I was about 7th grade that I could buy my own music that I actually started buying it and then worked backwards. So that was kind of my beginnings with the Kiss. I fell right into their marketing trap. Gene Simmons was a genius.
Yes, he was.
Had all the kids hooked before they even knew what they were getting hooked to.
And I like you said the American Bandstand tracks because they'd still be going as the song would fade out. And they'd still be, and you'd be like, what are they doing? That's awesome. But you're little, you didn't know. But as for me, you always knew a Kiss, even though I was just a little kid, because they were so big. They were always on TV and whatever, but I didn't really know much about them. And then, in the early 90s, Revenge and all that kind of stuff, when I was first starting to get into everything, so that was, and then a couple years go by and kind of grunge came in, and that wasn't really my thing at the time. So I wanted something new. So I just kind of went back to everything that all the bands I loved, what they got started on. So I went back and got into Kiss and Hendrix and Lynyrd Skynyrd, and it seems, I don't know, I remember it as I just decided to start it, square one with the first album, because I'd heard those song titles as, more than the others, and I was just blown away. The sounds they were getting, and it was 1974. I mean, that was just so, you really heard the genesis of a lot of stuff, of hard rock, and I mean, that first, and it's still my first, I mean, I could do a whole episode on just that first album, so.
Is that the first one you actually bought?
I think so. Like I said, I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong, but I mean, Revenge was the first one.
Oh, okay.
But when I went back and decided I'm going to get really into these guys, that was what I did, and that's my favorite Kiss record to this day, still.
Well, they play a lot of those songs still. They've stood the test of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably half that record they still play in their set list, 40 years later.
I still like Kissin' Time, too. I'm not going to lie.
Dude. That's like an abomination they put that song back on there.
I love it.
It wasn't on the original record. A lot of people may not know that. It wasn't on the original release.
Yeah.
The record sales were not going very well. And so the next press of the record, they put that song on there trying to get like a radio-friendly song.
Something that said all the cities.
Right. But it's an iconic record with these songs these other songs that were not giving them hits, quote, have stood the test of time of 40 plus years. It's pretty crazy.
Yep. Well, you, Trent?
Yeah, the first album I bought was Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits.
Oh, yeah.
Because, that was around a time when I was really getting into music. It was probably after 89 or something.
Yeah.
You were putting the X in sex.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I bought the album because it was the greatest hits, and it was new. And then I heard that, and I thought, oh my god, I was like 12, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. You make me rock hard.
Right.
With the pause. So,
right.
To my 12-year-old mind, I'm like, Paul Stanley is the greatest ever.
Right.
Because of those two songs alone. But then it wasn't. I had that quasi greatest hits. It wasn't really. It was missing a lot of stuff, but. Then I got Revenge, and then that's just when I went full into it after that, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we just start going to all these, I wrote down 20 studio albums.
Right.
And for this thing, we covered 249 songs.
Okay.
And that includes Alive and Unplugged, were the only 2 live albums we included.
Right.
And then they have, as most people would know, 4 live albums and then several other live albums and then the 4 solo albums, but we didn't include that. And
there was only one worth listening to.
Peter Criss's.
No way, dude.
And then the 2 compilations that had the new tracks, Killers and
Killers.
Smashes Thrashes. And then I looked it up and there's 20 plus compilations and box sets.
Right.
Yeah. And that's another thing I noticed when I was just skimming through, seeing how many there were. I was surprised at how many of those things have gone gold and platinum, especially the earlier ones. Not so much the later ones, except maybe a couple of the box sets had a lot of sales. But
well, even the first 2 records weren't considered like major commercial successes.
Yeah.
They were gold records.
Yeah.
How many bands nowadays that are struggling to get any record sales would love to have that?
No kidding. Yeah.
And they were considered kind of, they weren't, the record company was struggling to make, to balance things out with those sales, but pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you already kind of got into it a tiny bit. But
Yeah. I mean,
Kiss, like what you alluded to was something I wrote down because it's one of those almost every song is a classic rock staple type of albums. Like the first Boston record, or something like that where you could hear the majority of these songs on the radio at any time still, which is crazy
Except
for an
Kissing
album.
Time.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, just kidding.
Hey, it's okay. You can give me crap.
Right. No, every one of these songs that they've played live at Love Theme I've never really seen, but most of these other songs, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond, Firehouse, Nothing to Lose.
I mean, it's just
Cold Gin. I mean, these are just
insane.
staples. Strutter.
And what I loved about it was so like you could hear him the fingers across the frets. Mm-hmm. It was just so like organic and raw. That was just great.
And one of the things we can talk about as we go through these is some of the album cover art too, because that's kind of been a cool thing with Kiss. One of the things that I like about, as I was reading up on some of the history about this record, is that Ace showed up wanting to impress the guys that he had spray painted his hair silver for that album shoot. And I never noticed that. Yeah. But when you go back and look at it, you can see he's got like this shiny sheen to his hair.
Yeah.
Can you imagine those guys? He walks in there like, really? Really, man?
Well, what I always thought about him on that cover was it kind of almost doesn't look like Ace in a way. Yeah. Like he looks like bulkier or something. I don't know. Maybe that was just me. But yeah, the silver hair, that was definitely, I was like, he doesn't usually do that.
Yeah, the spray paint.
Yeah.
Just the Krylon look, man.
I wonder how hard that was to get out.
No telling.
What's your favorite song on this album?
Me?
Yeah, or either of you.
Man. What do you choose? You got Strutter and Deuce and Cold Gin.
Kissing Time.
I mean, probably Strutter, but I love all these songs. I mean, Cold Gin is kind of the beginning of Ace contributing a song that he should have sung, but he didn't have he'll tell it in the interviews I've seen of him. He just talks about he didn't have confidence in his vocals until much later. And nowadays he sings all these songs that he, Parasite and Cold Gin, these classic songs that he gave Gene. Yeah. They became Gene classics. They should have been Ace classics. So, I'm kind of partial to Cold Gin too because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, Cold Gin might be my favorite Kiss song ever.
Right.
But it's kind of that and then Black Diamond right behind it.
And the irony that Gene sings it when he's a teetotaler and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it would have made way more sense with Ace singing that song.
Yeah, Cold Gin. I mean, I love Nothing to Lose and Let Me Know. But I mean, I don't know, the whole record. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite on this one. This is, like I said a minute ago, this is my favorite Kiss record.
And the funny thing to me is, so they're marketed to kids. Not initially, they came out, you know, being a hard rock band, and then they kind of took that marketing thing with the kids and songs like Nothing to Lose, which if you read the lyrics and hear what he's really talking about, trying to come in her back door, you got nothing to lose, baby, let it happen. And it's hilarious to me that they got these little kids and these kids' parents going to these concerts singing songs like this.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good though.
And they probably had no idea.
No, they had no
that's
clue.
what this song is about.
Yeah. Well, Higher in Hell, follow this up. And there's times where I can listen to this and think I like it better than the first one. But it's pretty even to me.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It had a rougher production quality to me. And then the packaging looked like really half done. It's very rough looking. It looks like a cheap import, you know, that you'd find over.
It does. Now, that's the perfect way to describe it. Because I remember seeing it, it was like, is this the real cover? Did I buy some weird version of this or something? And that was it. You know?
Well, they got back in the studio quick. It was just less than a year after the first one coming back. The sales weren't going great, so they got back in the studio. And this has got iconic songs on it. You know, Parasite, Hotter Than Hell, Watching You. These are songs coming home that have stood the test of time. The Going Blind song, I gotta say, has probably got one of the weirdest lyrics I've ever heard. The whole, I'm 93 and you're 16. I mean, I'm like, really? Gene, what the hell is that all about? And then, like, later on, Christine's 16, he writes a song about an older guy, like, creeping on a younger girl.
That's what I was thinking. Like, why do people always give Kip Winger shit for 17? Gene Simmons did it.
I know!
That was 16.
It's even worse.
Yeah. And he probably really did it.
Yeah.
You know? I think Kip Winger was just writing a song. Gene Simmons probably did some dastardly shit, okay?
Right.
But no, you said Coming Home. God, I love that song. That's such a good song. That's probably, one of my favorites on the record. But, you know, Parasite, I like Got to Choose. That's a great album opener.
Parasite's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Ace guitar solos, too.
Yeah.
It's just got a real cool little vibe to it. Definitely one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time. The original title of this record was The Harder They Come.
Really?
And then they went with Hotter Than Hell. So, anyway, again, second record, Ace throws out a great iconic song with Parasite, chooses not to sing it, gives it to Gene. Like, what the hell are you doing?
What's going on?
So,
and Anthrax does a great cover of
Yes,
that.
they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah, I thought Mainline is a good deep cut that no one ever talks about.
Right.
I mean, it's not like one of their greatest songs by any means, but it's one of those.
I'll say, in looking at this song list, there's not a song on here that I don't like. You know, I like all these songs. These are all classic Kiss songs to me.
Yeah.
If any of them came on, I wouldn't be like, skip. You know, I would listen to any of these.
Yeah, that's why I think those first two albums just have a great continuity of, like I said, everything's great.
Yeah.
It's
You
not
don't have to skip around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here in a bit, we get to points where you have to skip around.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe even this next one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dress to Kill.
But I love that Room Service starts off sounding like, am I listening to Elton John? I mean, it sounds like fucking Saturday Night, It's All Right to Party or something, you know? Or, I mean, All Right for Fight.
Yeah, it wasn't as strong as the first two records, but this was the first record that had somewhat of a hit with Rock and Roll All Night. Obviously, has been their hugest hit, and then Come On and Love Me was picked up, you know, there for a while. So it was the first one that got them a little more traction. And this was about the time they were really becoming more known for the theatrical live shows than necessarily their record productions. but it wasn't wasn't corresponding to. They were selling out arenas and shows and getting double booked places, but it wasn't really transferring to the record sales.
Yeah, it wasn't selling records.
So was Rock and Roll All Night a hit before live? Like as a studio song?
That I don't know. I don't know the timing of that, honestly. It came out the same year, so it's kind of hard to say. Both came out in 75, so I don't know how you would know for sure. I wouldn't know for sure.
And when you hear Rock and Roll All Night on the radio, I mean, at least around here, it's always a live. It's never the version on this record.
The song "She." I don't know how much you guys know about the band Pre-Kiss, Wicked Lester, which was Paul and Gene, and it was really kind of almost like when I hear that stuff, it's got a lot of Jethro Tull influences. It's basically like the Elder stuff. There's flutes and there's just odd things going on. Wicked Lester, She was one of their songs.
Really?
So
nice.
This was the first showing up, and I don't know if it was I Love Her All I Can. I think both of those songs were Wicked Lester songs.
Really? Wow. Those are my two favorite songs on the record.
That's what I was going to say.
Go look up Wicked Lester. You might love them.
This reminds me, I think I texted you. It was a month or two ago. I was driving home on the BA, and Carr passed me with Wicked Lester license plate.
Really?
I'm not kidding you.
That's a deep Kiss fan.
I was like, that guy really, he knows his shit.
That's going deep. But, yeah, the versions... you would recognize She.
Yeah.
But it's a different take on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, both those songs and Come On and Love Me are probably my three favorites off that.
Right. Yeah, Come On, Love Me. Rock Bottom, I like Rock Bottom too.
Yeah. I like Two Timer as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a good record.
It's a cool cover.
Yeah.
That was one of the other things I like about this one. You got them up there.
They're dressed up.
Yeah.
The Kiss makeup, wearing snazzy little suits.
They were dressed to kill.
Yeah.
That was probably just presented as a joke, and then it became reality. That's my guess.
That's a cool album cover.
Yeah. Well, Alive comes out, and it's basically greatest hits of the first three albums, obviously. Yep. But this is revered by a lot of people as one of the greatest live albums of all time. But is it? You might know more. Is it really live?
Well, I think on both of the records, I know especially on Alive too, the thought process out there with a lot of folks is that a lot of the songs were recorded during sound check, and then they added crowd noise, So
they were recorded.
How many were truly part of the concert, and how many were sound check tracks with crowd noise? Probably only them, and they might not even know. A record engineer is probably the one that knows for sure, but. Alive was a game changer for them. I mean, the record sales exploded. It basically was compilation of, what I've read on it, 3 different shows, Detroit, New Jersey, Cleveland, and Iowa shows kind of pieced together and really brought the magic of what a Kiss show was into the living room of, every kid in America that had never seen a concert. So like me, 1974, or 75, I'm 4 or 5 years old. And never at that point, not going to get to go see a concert, but you get to experience a Kiss concert in your own living room. Yeah. And it was a game changer for them.
Well, in the way that's probably the first album where, because a lot of live albums, especially older ones, sound real flat, the crowd wise, but they recorded that crowd noise and made it where you could hear it at all times, which is not usual. Right. Usually you hear it fade in and out at the beginning and end of a song. But I wanted to ask you,
go.
Because this guy is not a fan of live albums. He's played that throughout the years. So I've just wondered, as a guy that's not a fan of live albums, what do you think of this in particular?
I'm kind of the same. There's only 1 or 2 live albums that I really go nuts over. This isn't one of them, but I mean that doesn't mean nothing. Right. But I definitely recognize how, like you said, this is the album that kind of changed it all, and it introduced what we all know as Kiss now, even though there's 3 records before, this was, they've arrived. And so that's, and if that's what it takes to get to that point, hell, release a live album, and they did.
Well, this inspired a generation of future rock stars. I had read that Kim Thayil from Soundgarden, this was the first record he had ever bought.
Yeah.
And Dimebag talks about how much an influence this was. And you can imagine these 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old little kids in their bedroom with a tennis racket with this record on, pretending they're Ace Frehley, or Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley. And if you were going to own one record, if you were going to get into Kiss and be like, what are they all about? To me, this is the record I'd point someone to.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, that's Kiss. That's what you get,
Yeah, this record would be the introduction.
Which is crazy because that's pretty rare for a band to have a live album that gets them over the top.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Usually those come after you're over the top.
Yeah.
But I love that 100,000 Years long ass. It's like 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
And that jam at the end, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, is badass.
Right.
But I thought I was going to say something else about that, but I forgot.
Was it Black Diamond or 100,000 Years where the drum riser went way up high and the three of them went way out?
Black Diamond, a lot of times they did the drum riser piece.
Gotcha.
Well, Destroyer was next.
Now that, I mean,
in my opinion, at this point, I mean, this is only the fourth album, but it's the most diverse album they've done at this point by far. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it starts off with those first 3 songs are pretty dark sounding,
right?
And then it goes in a lot of different directions after that, And then you've got stuff like Shout It Out Loud that's like becomes this massive thing later on, and it's just it's a great album. I think you hear a lot of people say that's their favorite album, but I'd put it definitely in my top 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah.
Of Kiss or just in
Kiss,
general?
I mean.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be in my top 5 or 6 of all time by any means.
I mean, I like what you said though, the first 3 songs and then Great Expectations is kind of like, whoa, what is this, and then it kind of goes off. Do You Love Me, I always thought kind of sounded like it could be on one of the first 3 albums more than, because the rest of this album sounded more, they had more to work with, I'm sure, and better production, more money and stuff, and you could tell.
This is the first time they worked with Bob Ezrin, who was the record engineer producer for Alice Cooper. And to me, this was the most polished and produced record so far that they had done. The production was much higher, and they're bringing in orchestration, they're bringing in piano, they're bringing in things that gave them depth and diversity of sound that you didn't hear on those. And I think Bob probably had a big part of that. The album art is probably the most iconic Kiss record album covers, with the city burning in the background and all of them looking like big superheroes.
Yeah. You can't forget
captured my imagination at 5, 6, 7 years old. But
it's my second favorite album cover of theirs, personally.
Loved this record, and it's kind of it's a testament to me how sometimes artists, they don't know what the crowd's going to connect to. They released Detroit Rock City as their single, which is a great song.
Yeah,
they still play it 40 years later, but Beth's a B-side on that, and then Beth becomes the biggest song that they've ever done. The fans had to call in radio stations to request to flip their single over to play the B-side. And it's just funny. How many times does that happen where bands are thinking this is going to be the song?
Yeah.
And then the B-side is the one that the kids and the crowd want to hear. So
Beth is the highest charting song they ever had?
I think it was their largest commercial charting hit that they had.
Well, there you go, Peter Criss.
It wasn't X and Sex, but or, All Night. It was Beth,
Well, as a huge Kiss fan, do you like Peter Criss, Eric Carr, or Eric Singer singing this the most? Well, obviously, probably not Eric Singer, but
yeah.
Did Eric Carr sing this?
I don't remember.
Didn't he?
I don't know.
I don't remember them playing it with Eric
I just
Carr.
assumed
If they did, I don't remember that time. I know he sang Black Diamond for them the years I saw him in like Animal Eyes and Asylum tours, but I got to go with Peter Criss. He had a really cool gravelly voice.
Yeah.
In terms of like drummer, no, he's not my first pick. His drumming was the weakest of those three, in my opinion.
Yeah. He
had his jazzy style, but I loved Eric Carr, playing drums, and Eric Singer is just a beast. So, drum wise, I'd go with one of those guys. Vocally, Peter Criss had some great gravelly vocals that were very unique. So I'd give him the nod on that.
Well, we haven't even mentioned God of Thunder, and that's like,
right,
one of my favorites, of all time.
Definitely one of my favorite Gene songs.
Yeah,
the epitome to me of the 70s era demon persona.
Right.
Great song.
And wasn't that one of the things where Paul's actually the one that wrote that one?
Right.
And
right.
Oh, really?
Gene wrote one of the Paul songs that I can't remember how.
Yeah, you're right. This was a Paul Stanley song.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if it was Bob Ezrin, but one of the producers was like, you should let Gene sing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No kidding. And that worked.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And Shout It Out Loud was the first one that they sang, both of them sang, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did both sing on that.
Because I know they've only done that a few times.
Yeah.
Now, I've read, and I don't know if it's true or not, I read this was the first record where they started having some issues with Ace being present.
Yeah.
That, like, the song Sweet Pain is rumored that Ace was MIA on that song. So this, in the legend and lore of where things started getting a little weird, this was one of the records that I had always heard was the beginning.
Yeah. Cue Bob Kulick.
Yeah, right.
So do you know when that started happening? Or
I think...
Well, definitely Live 2. He's on that. All those studio tracks but one, for sure. And then when you get into the records post that, Dynasties and the Creatures of the Night, there's a lot of hit and miss with Ace.
Yeah.
This was the earliest in any of like the reading or, things I've kept up with Kiss over the years had heard that there was a possibility, like on that one track only, that he was MIA on.
Okay.
But there were some of the tracks, I don't know that they would have brought Bob in at that point. Sometimes Paul just covered it. I know there's a song later on one of the other records that the lead stuff Paul just played.
Okay.
So, Bob, he auditioned for Kiss when they held it. He was the times I've seen him talk about that audition process. I guess he auditioned and then Ace came in after him, so they auditioned at the same time. That was how close he was to being in the band.
Wow.
From the start. So.
Well, Rock and Roll Over is next.
Right.
Personally, this is my favorite album cover. Just because it's so...
Mm-hmm.
I kind of gravitated towards it when I was younger, just because it's so cool and almost psychedelic in a way, but not really. And it's just... I know Destroyer is more iconic, but this to me was just the coolest of any other artwork ever.
Yeah.
So I got a funny story about that artwork. When I lived in Chicago as a kid, it was like 1978, 79. We lived in like this apartment complex, and there was like a little strip mall with the convenience store and a little grocery place that was, walking distance for a little kid. And my mom sent me to the store one day to go pick up some milk, a couple other things, gave me like $20. It's like, bring back my change. So I go to the store. While I'm there, as little kids do, you get distracted, and I'm going down this aisle, and they have this huge Rock and Roll Over poster that you can color. It was like just the blank one with the markers and all that.
That's awesome.
And I just had to have it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe my mom won't notice. The damn thing's as big as I was, So I get whatever she wanted me to get, and then I buy this record, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be dead. She's gonna kill me. And I walk in like hoping she doesn't notice, trying to keep it behind my back, and she's like, really? But once she saw it, she was always a big supporter of the the music stuff I was getting into, and she kind of got a kick out of it. But I thought I was totally getting ready to get my ass kicked over getting the damn Rock and Roll Over poster.
You still have it?
No, I wish I did.
That would be awesome.
I probably did a pretty shitty job coloring it though.
I bet one of those
blank right now would probably be worth a show.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I wish I had a lot of that Kiss stuff I had back when I was 7, 8 years old.
You could get it now and color it now.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I'm sure I colored it then.
Well, overall, I thought this had a lot of good songs. I mean, it doesn't... you know what? Calling Dr. Love might be the only one that's kind of big to most people, but...
Mm-hmm.
Hard Luck Woman.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's... I mean, that doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
But, I mean, there's great stuff, like... I like I Want You, Calling Dr. Love, Love Him,
Right.
Leave Him. Hard Luck Woman, to me, sounds like Rod Stewart wrote it, but maybe that's what they were trying to do, capitalize on that sound, too, you know?
Paul wrote it for Rod Stewart.
Oh, did he really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
And then he didn't use it, so they used it?
I don't know if they ever offered it, but I had read that he had written it originally for thinking of Rod Stewart using this song, and they gave it to Peter Criss.
Well,
Which,
I mean,
I think Peter did great on it.
Yeah.
And you can see they kind of have that gravelly voice, the same kind
I mean,
of,
it sounds like Maggie May.
Yeah.
You know, it's along that same,
Yeah.
you know, and You Wear It Well, it's in that same wheelhouse of
Yeah.
the songs Stewart was doing in that era.
I like Baby Driver. I thought that was a cool song.
I like I Want
Just
You
that
and
in
Making
there.
Love. Those are two songs I always thought were cool songs that never really got a lot of attention.
Yeah, Making Love's great.
But-
Did Baby Driver inspire that movie?
I don't know.
No.
That's a damn good movie, though, but we're getting off the subject there.
To me, this was the first record where it was kind of like half and half. Like, I thought half the songs were songs that if they came out, I'd listen to, and half the other songs I'd probably push skip.
Yeah.
This is probably the first record where I would say that happened.
Well, Love Gun is up next, and is this the first album that features Ace singing?
Yep.
So he finally,
And actually, this
got the nerve up to
He
do it.
And this
recorded
re-
it on his back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I
Right.
remember
He didn't want anybody to
He
sing
shot
it.
it. Yeah.
Actually, this was in this record, all 4 members sing. So not only is it the
Nice.
first entry of Ace singing,
Yeah.
all
Right.
4 of them
Hooligan.
sing on this record.
Yeah.
Same guy did the cover art. So if you kind of look and feel of the Love Gun and the Destroyer records, same guy.
Yeah. And like you said, that's another badass album cover, you know.
This was at the heart of their marketing too. I remember when you got this record, it had like a cardboard gun insert that you could, tear out and you have like a love gun.
It's awesome.
But it's not about a gun.
They started putting all that stuff in there, right?
Well, it's just, you see them standing there and then there's all the women, on their knees and, you're like, oh my man, that's awesome. I wish I was that badass.
Right. This had a lot of variety, good and bad. There was some iconic Kiss songs, and then there were some that were just like odd. Like, okay, well.
Was this the first time they had a cover song on an album, I think? Unless I'm forgetting one of the other ones we talked earlier.
Right. Well, they had Kiss in Time that they added later on the original record. That was a cover song.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Who originally did that?
I know it was like somebody in the 50s. It's like an old song.
Wow.
As soon as we're done, he's going to go.
I'm going to, yeah. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
You're
that's not a
teaching me
Kiss song.
stuff.
They didn't write that.
Well, was the cover on this, was it Then She Kissed Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which was originally.
Which is another like
Then He
50
Kissed
song.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, true. Yeah.
But yeah, we got Christine 16. Man, I love that song, even though it's a little sketchy, but it's fucking great.
Well, so this Kiss Vault stuff, Gene's talking about releasing and all this, apparently has the recordings he did with the Van Halen brothers.
Yeah.
And the original demo track of Christine 16 was Eddie Van Halen.
Wow.
And apparently, the solo that Ace ends up playing is pretty close to what Eddie had laid down. And it was just so good, Gene was like insistent, like, you need to play this. But
God, I can't even imagine Ace Frehley trying to do some of that stuff.
well, that on this song, it's very melodic. It's in the Ace style.
Okay,
It's very
gotcha.
sing-songy melodic. It's not
I see.
real super technical stuff.
I
but
see. Okay.
The Got Love for Sale and Christine 16 were both tracks that the Van Halen brothers apparently played with
Wow.
Gene.
And that's
Well,
on the
demo.
vault, supposedly?
I think it was supposed to be part of that release in the vault, but I've seen interviews with Gene talking about those guys being on those songs.
Yeah, that's cool.
I haven't ever heard them.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, $3,000 will deliver it to you.
No thanks, man.
Oh, 2,000. Sorry.
I like "I Stole Your Love."
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I love that song,
and that's a cool album opener. And they used to open shows with that. And that's just awesome. That's a great song. Yeah.
And then "Shock Me" is my favorite.
Oh man,
one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time. It is my favorite, absolute favorite Ace Frehley guitar solo.
Yeah.
When I'm noodling around at the house, probably 2-3 times out of 4 times when I'm just jamming around, warming up, I play that solo. I just love it, love it, love it.
That's awesome.
Classic. It's a great song. It's classic. Just ask Buckcherry. They ripped that riff off, too.
Oh, man. Yeah, they sure did.
I never even put that correlation together until I heard someone on Sirius like years ago talking about it.
Right.
I was like, oh, I guess.
And then I went and heard Lit Up, and I'm like, how did I not notice that?
Yeah.
Because it's like so just damn near note for note. Right. It's insane, you know?
Very close.
Yeah, they need to... They need to.
Hey man, but they say it.
Buy him a sandwich, you know.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So,
well, they're just another one of those thousands of bands that grew up on Ace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to say "Plaster Caster's" a great song. I love that. And you know, it's about making a mold of your dick. Why not? Why not? You know?
Right.
And "Almost Human's" your favorite Kiss song of all time, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Right. That's a cool song. That was when I was talking about it gets a little weird.
Yeah, hey, you know.
It's a weird kind of song. I always liked it though, and I saw an interview with Paul Stanley when they were asking him some of his favorite Kiss songs of all time, and "Love Gun" was one of the ones he mentioned as one of his personal favorites. So
that's a good one. It really is.
What's that movie with?
Stifler.
Yeah, Stifler. Whatever his real name is, where he's telling the kid, listen to this song. It's called Love Gun, but it's about his cock.
I know what movie you're talking about. I can't.
Where they were like counselors or something.
Right.
Yeah, but he had the Kiss pinball machine in his apartment.
Okay.
I mean, that would be awesome. We could all have that.
Yeah.
Well, this was the last of what I would consider the classic Kiss era.
I get that for sure.
Songs. After this, then they lost their way for a little while.
Yeah.
Until Creatures of the Night. Then they kind of re-centered themselves. But
well, yeah, when you talk about all these albums in a row, when you go into Dynasty, that's the first change. As far as, the other stuff they were starting to branch out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But Dynasty is the first time that really, here's something completely different. Yeah, what I mean? It's got a different feel, but it's got good songs to it as well.
Right.
I really like the guitar sound, throughout this. I don't know what, something about it just struck me as different as previous, but I mean...
Well, 2,000 Man, come on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great song. Oh, man.
Did you know that was a Rolling Stone song?
No, I didn't. Okay. Is it? See? This is what happens.
Yeah. You should go back and listen to the original too, because it's different. But
I didn't even know that, and I'm like 40 years old, and I'm fucking know all this shit about music. I didn't even fucking know that.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyways.
But Ace sang it, so it's good.
Yeah, and so there you go. And this is also, may I just add, this is where I bow out a little bit because I listened to these so long ago. It starts getting sketchy for me until about the mid 80s.
Right.
So
you're not supposed to say that. These people don't know that.
Hey, I'm just trying to be honest. I'm just trying to be honest. I know everything and I know nothing. Okay.
Well, was there Charisma's on here? We heard Gene Simmons play that live last year.
Yeah.
When we saw his solo show.
Right.
But are there songs on here you dig or?
Well, before we jump to there, we got to hit Alive.
Alive 2.
Yeah. Let's hit Alive.
Are we doing that?
We didn't do Alive 2? You didn't do Alive 2? Well, yeah, I'll talk about Alive 2 then.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
How can you skip Alive 2?
Well, generally on these things we skip all live albums, but we included Alive because it was so classic.
All I'll say about Alive 2 was, at first I didn't really get, why. You already did Live, what are you doing? But it was kind of the compilation of all the songs from the records after Alive One. And then they put, like 5 tracks on studio cuts. And that's where you see Bob, Kulick's first showing up, except the Rocket Ride song. And I think 3 of the 5 Bob is confirmed to have played on. So this was one that they definitely pretty strong evidence to suggest that a lot of those were recorded during sound checks, and then they just did the piped in stuff. So. Yeah. And then I know you guys weren't going to talk about the solo records, but Ace ruled the solo record war.
Oh, well, I think we could all agree on that.
Well, and it's kind of if you think about, like, no band had done that before and no band had done that since, it's a big risk. Mm-hmm. But what a cool concept to be like, let's see what everyone's got in terms of their influences. And I always thought it was a really super cool idea that they did that.
But wasn't that a thing where I think it was, Ace and Peter kind of wanted to bail.
Right.
And they came up with this idea. Get it all out of your system, do whatever you want.
Kind of placate them, right.
Keep it under the name, though. And,
right.
And that kept them around a little longer.
And I think they all needed a break from each other. That was the other part of that. So
definitely.
And then we go to Dynasty. So you're 2 years out since the Love Gun record had been released. It had a lot of distractions.
And that's the biggest gap by far since they started.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you come out with a record that, the disco era is just getting crazy. So Kiss goes disco, I Was Made for Loving You. It's a great song, but it's like, oh my God, I can't believe Kiss did this song.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing with Sure Know Something. That still has that's definitely got the disco vibe.
I really had kind of written that song off and forgotten about that song until Unplugged. Yeah. When they did that song on Unplugged again, I'm like, man, that was a great song.
Yeah. Well,
and I liked it better on Unplugged than the studio version.
Was it the video for that or I Was Made for Loving You? He's got the pink blouse on, Paul Stanley, with the rest of the Kiss makeup. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, what are you doing?
So on this record, no Peter Criss at all. This was all Anton Fig playing.
Really?
Drums.
See, I was about to ask you, when was it that they started doing that with the drummers?
It was this record. Okay. It was when Criss was, from this on, he wasn't appearing, but they were using his likeness on the marketing, and he was still playing live.
Wow.
But he did not play on this record.
Well, they sang Dirty Livin', so that's the only thing he contributed was his vocals?
Yeah, I'm guessing. I love that 2000 Man. I know you guys talked about it to me. That was the highlight of this record. And then this was the era where they were all getting distracted with the marketing and all that. And Ace has talked about in interviews how, they would have all these business meetings about lunchboxes and trash cans. And he's like, I just want to play rock and roll. Yeah. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
But, you guys ever see that Tom Snyder interview in '79?
No.
Where Ace is just...
I've heard about it, and I want to look it up.
So at the same time, this era, all 4 of them go on the Tom Snyder show, and they start interviewing him, and Ace is lit, and just cracking jokes, and loud, and it's a great moment in Kiss history, because it's hilarious to watch him. But the whole time, this look on Gene's face, man, he's just glaring at him like,
I've got to see this. I've got to
eat your liver. And Ace is just clowning the whole time. It's great. You got to go watch it.
What was it? I think it was, I can't remember. It was on one of the podcasts I listened to. It might have been Jericho. They were talking about how some photo shoot, the Christmas one where they're all wearing like the Santa hats and stuff. Like Ace was completely out of it, and like right in between snaps, he'd like lean over and puke,
right,
and then put his Santa hat back on, and that's insane. I mean, that's fucking rock and roll, isn't it?
This is definitely when they were kind of unraveling as a band.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Unmask is next. It's the first album of the '80s.
Yeah.
Well, what do y'all think?
Well, we talked about this before we kind of kicked this thing off. Yeah. When I went back and listened to it, it was better than I remembered it.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was that good. It's very a slick pop record.
Yeah.
The sound was there was a lot of external writers on this record contributing, and it just wasn't a Kiss record to me.
Wow.
In terms of what I expect as a Kiss fan, what I would expect as a Kiss fan.
It seemed like, I was just listening to it before you got here.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed to me some of it kind of sounded like, rock and roll music beds that they would use over like commercials or like on the news or something. That it kind of struck that,
Right.
And so it's funny you say that about outside writers and stuff.
I know my girlfriend's favorite song is Torpedo Girl. And like, it was so unmemorable to me. Her and I lost a bet with her. She's like, my favorite song is Torpedo. I said, Kiss never wrote a song called Torpedo Girl.
Oh,
she's like, yes, they did. Ace sang it. I was like, no, he didn't. And I was like, oh, God. Yeah, I totally lost that bet.
You ate crow on that
I
one,
did, totally. Totally, I did. So give her that shout out on that one, but was not my favorite record. But I will say again, when I listened to it for this podcast, it was better than I remembered. It wasn't quite as bad as I thought.
Well, what was the single? Yeah, see, I don't even know. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, after I listened
Might
to
have
this,
been Shandy.
Yeah.
I Googled Tomorrow to see if Rick Springfield wrote it. Because
Right.
it sounds exactly like a Rick
Right.
Springfield song.
Right.
But no, it was written by Paul Stanley and someone else. But, to me, I don't dislike it, but there's just so
Right.
many better albums that sound like pop albums from the early 80s that I
Right.
listened to before
Yeah.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the, when they went out on tour, this was when Eric Carr came in the picture.
Gotcha.
So he was part of this tour support.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
The Fox.
Right.
So, what's next? The Elder.
Oh, yeah.
And
What you've been waiting
speaking of Eric Carr, hey, welcome to Kiss, Eric Carr. Here's your first record, The Elder.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine? He's like,
you gotta wonder if
he's like, what the hell did
Yeah.
I just sign up to,
what
man?
am I getting myself into?
I'm thinking I'm getting ready to come play some Strutter or some Parasite, and we're going to roll out. My first record is this turd nugget.
We're gonna roll out some fanfare.
for. For some reason, I thought Creatures of the Night was the first album he was on. But
It was
so it was
Elder.
The Elder?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like the video for the World Without Heroes.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to.
Which is probably, if you're going to say what songs to me are listenable to this record, for me, I could listen to World Without Heroes and the song
That was
are the
that's
two
exactly
that I'm
what I was
like,
gonna
all
say.
right, I can listen to these songs, but
I think I is the one song that everybody
Yeah.
agrees
See-
is all right.
yeah.
See, the thing, that I thought was, it started out a little weird, the record did, with the interludes and stuff, but it seemed to, like, there's a couple songs that are alright. I mean,
Right.
they're decent rock songs. But, I mean, it is definitely,
You reminded me of like a bad Renaissance fair spoof,
Yeah. Yeah,
My
I
Fair
get that.
Maiden stuff with all the woodwinds, which is kind of a nod back to the Wicked Lester roots.
Yeah.
But this is where they reunited with Bob Ezrin, and he had just done
That's right.
Pink
yeah,
Floyd's
that's
The
right,
Wall.
yeah.
So he did this epic record with Pink Floyd, and I think Kiss kind of got sucked into, well, we want to do our
We can do
epic
that too.
record
So,
of The
yeah.
Wall.
Oh,
And
no.
they got caught into doing this whole storyline of, I don't know which one of them wrote it. I don't know. Probably Gene wrote like this story about this kid that's, fighting all these evil things and
Yeah.
is like this hero. So they write this record around this whole concept, and it just didn't work.
No.
It just didn't work.
And the video, was just the three of them with no ace.
Well, at this point, it was the final
Yeah.
straw. He was getting
He was-
outvoted
Yeah.
because Eric didn't have a vote.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
basically, it
true.
was two votes to one, and he was getting voted down on everything. So he's like, "All right, man."
He's like out.
So right after that, they did. I know we're not going to really talk about the Killers record, but they did that Killers thing, and I always joke that they'd all cut their hair off
Yeah.
on that Killers era. I'm like, they cut their hair
They did,
off in
didn't
shame
they?
of the elder.
That's what it was. That's
It was
what
a shame. It was elder shame. So
Well, The Elder's the first album without them on the cover. something else to point out.
Oh, wow. It is. Yeah, I've been looking at each one of them and I didn't even
call.
think about that, yeah.
But I'd also wrote down that I really dug the guitar solo in Under the Rose. I can't remember it right now, but when I listened to it, I thought it was cool. if it's Bob or whoever it is.
Right.
Could be Paul. But yeah, Killers, I mean, I listened to those 4 songs. I'm a Legend Tonight, is after the Elder. That's right back to the classic Kiss sound.
The Down on Your Knees song, man,
that's the best
like
one.
raw. Almost kind of reminds me of not Kiss, but Kicks.
Oh,
It's kind of like that raw, just gritty rock song. That's who I think of when I hear that song.
Yeah.
But I like Down on Your Knees and Nowhere to Run on that deal. But the album photo was like, what the hell? Paul's got a weird headband on. They look all over the place. They were just reeling direction-wise,
Headband.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that put out as like... It wasn't put out in America at first, right? Or wasn't it? It's just a Japan
Right.
thing?
It was somewhere overseas. It was kind of a stopgap to stop the bleeding a little bit with the fans' reaction to the Elder.
Yeah.
It was just...
Why wasn't it released in America then, I wonder?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Because you figure you'd want to keep those people around.
Right.
But I mean, they turned around with Creatures of the Night and kind of did it.
Yeah.
Were able to...
10th record that they released. My favorite record until Revenge. But when Creatures of the Night came out, it was like... And if you look at Kiss's history and you put it all on a timeline, which we did on this podcast, so they start out with the classic Kiss sound, and over time they lost their way. Mm-hmm. And then boom, Creatures of the Night recenters them in terms of what fans want as a Kiss record.
Yeah.
And Lick It Up is there, and then it starts fading a little bit again.
Yeah.
You get into the weird, we'll talk about them in a minute. And then boom, Revenge kind of recenters the fan base. So like, if you look at their career, there's like 3 big moments that they're able to recenter their fan base around a record that's like, this is core Kiss. And Creatures of the Night was that record.
Yeah.
And they needed it.
Which is impressive that they've done it more than once, because a lot of bands can't pull that off.
Yeah.
I mean, Metallica's done it, Aerosmith did it, but you don't see that too often,
Well, you've got to give Vinnie Vincent, he had a lot of writing credit on this. He kind of gave them a fresh jolt on this record.
Yeah, Saint and Sinner is fucking great. Obviously, the title track.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Keep
I
Me
love that
Coming
song.
has a really cool guitar riff.
I like every song on this record.
I love it loud, it's classic as hell.
War Machine, that's badass.
Yeah.
Love War Machine.
It's a darker record, and from a production standpoint, it's the only record I've ever heard that got that drum sound that they got for Eric Carr. It sounds gigantic.
Yeah.
And I saw Eric Carr talking about how they got it. They recorded him like this huge empty, I don't know if it was a warehouse or studio, that basically like they backed into like a doorway where he's like sitting here and it's just empty in front of him. And so like those drums to I Love It, Loud, it's just boom, boom, bah. It's just so big sounding.
Huge.
Throughout that whole record, they got this great drum sound from that. And the curious thing to me was, why didn't they do that after that?
Yeah.
It's the only record they did that on. And it's a very iconic sound.
Because it wasn't Gene or Paul doing it.
It's one of the most consistent records, start to finish, for me. It's, as I already said, it's probably my favorite.
Overall?
I like Revenge, too. It's hard to not like Revenge. But up to this point, it was my favorite Kiss record.
Yeah, I would put it kind of what you said, that Revenge, the first album. That's the top 3 for me. Maybe the second album up there, top 4, but...
Ace was, pretty much promo on this record. This has got a lot of contributions from, it wasn't just Bob Kulick. There were some other players that contributed to this record.
Did you know Rock and Roll Hell was co-written by Bryan Adams?
I did not.
Now you do.
Wow.
You do.
Interesting.
Here's another side note I just read. They re-released this in 85 and flipped the track listing of Saint and Sinner and Killer for some reason.
That's weird.
That's the only note I got, which is an unmemorable note. But
Yeah, that's when they released it and they put Bruce Kulick on the cover. Like, why would you do that? They changed the album cover. Yeah. Yeah.
Did it go back to original cover later on, I assume?
No, so I had both versions. The first version obviously was the the iconic version of all of them with the glowing eyes, which is a great album cover. Yeah. And then the 85 version it was around the Asylum era, Animalize era. Yeah. It was Animalize era, okay. I think. So it's got that era band on there. And then the back of it was a picture of one of them's butt, in leather pants.
Had to be Paul
Stanley.
Right.
I'm like,
had to be.
Whatever. So I never really understood why they felt the need to re-release that with a new cover, but they did.
Huh.
All right, Lick It Up's next, and this is the first album to officially not feature Ace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the
although if you were a Kiss fan, like a diehard, and you heard Creatures of the Night, you knew that wasn't Ace playing.
Yeah,
I mean, even though he was in the video, even though he was on all the marketing stuff, especially if you were musically inclined, a guitar player, you're like, that's not Ace Frehley playing guitar.
Yeah,
what are they trying to sell me here?
Well, this album kind of turned to the 80s sound. Earlier they did that 80s pop sound, but this is more the 80s rock sound.
Right.
And this was also the first no makeup official. Yeah.
Right. Remember them going on MTV and the big reveal?
And they each had a name.
Which,
it
was a cool moment, but it was also kind of like a little deflating because the standpoint of there was only 2 original members at that point.
Yeah. You probably still wanted to know what.
Right. I remember, and like right after that, wasn't too far after that, like in guitar magazines, Ace Frehley got an endorsement with Washburn Guitars. It was like this big lightning. It was an ugly guitar. Ace. Sorry, dude. I love you, but that was a weird guitar. It was like a Washburn with this weird lightning bolt on it. And it was the first time I'd ever seen Ace without makeup on.
Really?
And it was not too long after the Lick It Up stuff came out that you saw him now in marketing.
So when was it that people saw Peter Criss,
I don't remember the first time I saw Peter Criss without his makeup. That's a good question. I don't know. It was mid-'80s for Ace, a year or 2 after the Lick It Up stuff came out. And I don't know about Peter. I don't remember that.
I know there was a thing where somebody was impersonating him, and he went on some talk show to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that was later in the 80s or in the early 80s. I can't remember. So that might have been it. I don't know though.
Well, it's hard to believe that at 1983 they've done so much material, so many records, but you're only talking about less than 10 years from when they first hit the market.
I know.
Yeah,
they covered so much ground,
so much under their belt.
Yeah,
I know.
They'd hit the heights, they'd hit the lows, and they were making their comeback with the Creatures of the Night. Lick It Up to me was a continuation. It had some marketable songs. Look It Up, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Those were the 2 singles that I remember from this record.
Mm-hmm.
But edgy, heavier record. I agree with you in terms of it was kind of the heavier side. And I think Vincent was probably a huge part of these 2 records. His writing credit in terms of the impact he had, like on Lick It Up, he has writing credit on 8 of the 10 songs.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a big part of why these 2 records sounded differently than what they had been playing.
Overall, I love this album.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I did too.
It's just one of those ones I just forget. I hadn't really listened to it since I don't know when until we did this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many songs I forgot about. Like A Million to One, Fits Like a Glove, On the 8th Day.
Fits Like a Glove, man. I love that song. I remember they used to play that live a lot.
Yeah.
It's a great song live. And this is Shred Fest. This is Shred era. So, as much as I love Ace, and the iconic tone and the phrasing he has, having a guy like Vinnie Vincent come in was a cool thing. And when Bruce comes in after him, you got 2 very technically gifted guitar players that really could carry forward in that genre.
And Rick Derringer played the solo on Exciter.
Yeah.
Rick Derringer, jeez. I'm learning so much. This is like a class for me, Right. I'm just going to let you 2 take the rest of it. I'm going to shut up.
Well,
no, you got a lot to say about Sonic Boom.
Oh, anyways.
Well, after that, we got Animalized, and this is where Mark St. John shows up, right?
That was my question. When exactly was it?
Yeah, he recorded the record, but this is also where you first see the influence of Desmond Child.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from here on out, you know, Animalize, and then when we get to like Crazy Nights and, you know, Smashes and 3 Hits and Hot in the Shade, it's like the Desmond Child show. He should have been the 5th unofficial member of Kiss in that era. Mm-hmm. He started writing a lot of their stuff then, but
and I know overall you're not a big fan of most of that stuff, right?
I started I like Asylum. You know, we get to Asylum, we'll talk about some songs on that one. Animalized to me was, you had Heaven's on Fire, was a huge song.
Yeah, that was.
I've Had Enough, Into the Fire. That's a cool song.
Yeah, it's
and Under the Gun. After that, man, I could not hear the rest of this record and be okay. It just was not my favorite record. It just, although I love the lyric in While the City Sleeps, where Gene's like, living well is the best revenge, so give them hell. I used to always just love that part of that song, but the backstory in Animalized that I remember was, this is the era that Gene, because they took the makeup off, so it was a game changer.
Yeah.
So now Gene can be in movies, and he can start doing this whole other thing. And if you read, you know, the stuff in Paul Stanley's book, he talks about he felt like he was a Lone Ranger. Yeah. And he basically put Animalized together himself. Gene was, according to Paul, largely absent during this era. And not only not in the songwriting, but also even just playing like the bass lines. That this Animalized was largely Desmond Child's song contributions coupled with Paul Stanley trying to piece together a record. Mm-hmm. So,
well, and like you just said, Paul's always said he's been the only one that's ever been all Kiss all the time, right? You know, and he does that, I think, to poke Gene a little bit, but he's right. True. It's true, yeah. Definitely.
And it wasn't, and you know, Gene, God love you, man. It wasn't like he was putting out great movies. Some of those movies were pretty sketchy. Should have been focused on Kiss. Just kidding, man.
No, we're not.
He's like, that one, what movie was that where he was like the transvestite villain? I was like, Gene, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? That to me was like the Elder. Like, what are you doing?
I never saw that, but I remember reading about it.
It wasn't Runaway. Runaway, he was like a villain too, but there was another movie where he was like this hermaphrodite villain thing. It was weird.
Wasn't there one where like he was like a preacher and Ozzy Osbourne?
That was Trick or Treat. That was actually cool.
Yeah,
he was the DJ.
That
movie's badass.
Okay.
That was the one movie I've seen him in that I'm like, oh, I loved it. I loved his work in that movie.
Nice. Okay.
But Runaway was okay. And there's I can't think of the movie I'm thinking about, but he was like this weird villain. It was very odd.
We should watch all those movies in a row and then talk about
them. Oh, God. We're not watching that one.
That'd be rough.
Right. I just felt like this record was very one-dimensional. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because I guess up to that point you had the Gene and the Paul mix up as far as the sounds go, and this one you didn't have that?
Yeah, to me, you know, the first 2 songs I liked. Under the Gun was a cool song to me. Guess what? All 3 of those songs Desmond Child had writing credit on.
Yeah.
You know?
Eric Carr did too on Under the Gun.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I love the guitar riffs, and I've had enough and Under the Gun.
But the record sold a lot because of Heaven's on Fire. Yeah. I mean, it was such a cool single.
Yeah, when I was a kid, that was probably my favorite Kiss song for a little bit until Revenge came out, and then then I went backwards, and obviously
that was definitely a hit. That had the whole. It sounded like, you know, the hair bands and the, you know, the fun kind of riff, and
Well, next up we got Asylum, and
so Asylum it's one of my favorite records for reasons of what was going on at that time as a kid, as a Kiss fan. This was my first live concert. I'd been to different live music events, but like a full-blown rock production. This was the first one I actually got to. I was supposed to go to like Billy Idol right before that, and he canceled. the concert. And so Kiss and Ted Nugent in 85 in Asylum, and they opened the tour in Little Rock, Arkansas. So we got to see the opening of the tour.
Wow.
That's cool.
And they had these gigantic like lightning bolts coming off the stage. And it was Kiss, they always had big productions.
Yeah.
So to me, this record has a lot of special things just because of those memories. But I thought Bruce Kulick and Eric Carr just shine on this record.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar work is exceptional. You guys know I'm a huge Ace fan, but I'm going to give it up to Bruce Kulick on this record. The guitar work is exceptional. The musicianship to me was probably as good as they ever were on this record, just from pure just playing ability, the stuff they played. Just very strong record, man. I like this record.
We had coming out of Animalize, it was more just that huge 80s rock sound, you know?
Yep.
And sorry, I drew a blank on what I was going to say. Tears Are Falling, you know, is the big hit from here.
Right.
And I can't help it. I freaking love that.
Yeah.
All Night, you know, is kind of corny, but I can listen to it. It doesn't piss me off.
Right. Well, Tears Are Falling, the guitar solo in that song is probably Bruce Kulick's finest work.
Yeah.
It's one of the coolest solos.
One of the things I've said before in various, times, what I like about Bruce Kulick is he straddles that line of like good, tasty guitar and then like shreddy kind of stuff. You know, he doesn't go too far the one way.
Right.
I really like guys that do that, and he does it awesomely.
Well, we've mentioned his name a bunch of times, but we didn't say this is the first album that he played on, right? Even though he showed up partway through the Animalized tour, right?
Yeah.
I've seen an article where he said he had some uncredited work on Animalize.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure which tracks he played on, but he gets interviewed a lot about how during Animalize they took both him and Mark St. John on tour, and Mark was having problems with his health that were affecting the nerves and things in his hands, and that they were giving him every chance to earn the job. But, they had Bruce in the wings, and it was kind of like they would alternate those guys from time to time, and how difficult that was it was an awkward situation. But in those interviews, he's talked about he did some work on Animalize that's uncredited.
And Paul Stanley played bass on Tears Are Falling, just so you know.
Really? There you go.
Yeah.
Well, now we got CJ's favorite album of Kiss, Crazy Nights.
Oh, my God. I hated this record. I was in synthesizer hell.
But see, what I want to know is, how can he not like Crazy Nights since it's a song for everybody out there?
Oh, my God.
Oh
I hated
my
this
God.
song. I hated this record.
Nothing's going to change me.
And I'm a huge Kiss fan, man. And this one came out, and I was like, first, the look, they had gotten so glammy between Asylum and Crazy Nights. But the synthesizers on this record just made it my least. It was like they tried to take what Bon Jovi was doing. And like, well, Bon Jovi's like right now the biggest band in the late 80s. Let's try to replicate some of that in our sound with all this synthesizer stuff. And once again, they're pulling away from their core rock fan base who's always stood by them. And you're pulling away from that again and giving us this syrupy, sweet, almost sickening pop record.
Yeah, it was easily the most 80s 80s quote of any of the albums.
You say synthesizers, CJ, and I noticed, I was like, wow, yeah, this is really, it kind of was bothersome to the ear. Because you liken that to all the pop radio, the real poppy stuff that was going on.
And Bruce Kulick's talked about, though, if you listen to some of the guitar work, he shreds on this record.
Yeah.
Some of the songs on this record, I think, are some of his, finest work. Is it No, 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 where he does that guitar solo shred thing in front of it? I think it's that song. He does a lot of cool technical stuff on this record. They were starting to turn him loose, just like, go be you, man. And so he did a lot of cool stuff on that, but I just felt like I'm that core hard rock Kiss fan that wants them to sound like the first records and Creatures of the Night and Revenge all the time.
Yeah.
So when they go too far from that, then I start going, man.
Yeah.
See, I love all that stuff, but I dig a lot of this stuff. And like if they said right now, hey, trying to make our set list for tomorrow night, I'd put a lot of shit in there just because you can never see it live. You know?
Right.
Well, not specifically from this album, but I just meant from the 80s period.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't go, like when they came through our town on this tour, I didn't go.
Wow.
I was like, I didn't want to go. I was revolting.
You didn't want to see Turn on the Night live?
No.
It's so 80s that it's fantastic, you know?
Mm-mm.
Now I got to mention Reason to Live because that's obviously, you can tell that Desmond Child had hands all over that.
So,
but that song sounds like Foreigner.
I do right here.
I
I wrote my notes. I'm like, did Foreigner write this? It's like, I want to know what love is. That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing about this that sounds anything but Foreigner, and then Paul Stanley's voice. You know,
It's a great radio hit.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't say it's not, but it's not. It's probably the best song on that record to me. When I made notes of this record, I gave that song 2 stars, which to me was an indication of it was, to me, the best song on the record.
It wasn't a 1-star song.
2 stars.
No.
Well, Hot in the Shade followed this up. Kicks off. Is Rise to It the first track? Am I right?
Yes, it sure is.
I used to not like this song at all.
Right.
Like nowadays, I think it's fine. It just used to bug the shit out of me for some reason.
I always liked it. I mean, I thought it was, a fun song. I told you earlier, I cannot not mention the video is cheesy as hell when they're like grabbing each other's chins and singing to each other or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? That was one of those, it was awkward to watch that. So that was weird, but I still liked the song. I like Hide Your Heart. So,
I absolutely love Hide Your Heart.
Yeah.
It's like probably my favorite of the 80s songs.
So how many other artists covered that song? Do you remember?
What, Hide Your Heart?
Yeah. That song, there was like several, like right after that came out, like several other artists. There was a country version of it. And I've heard, I know 2 versions of it. I think there were 3 versions in that same year and a half era that came out. Yeah.
Wow. Another thing I got to look up. That's insane.
Which I always thought was the craziest thing, but then when you figure out Desmond Child wrote it, he probably allowed other people to use it.
Yeah, I mean, he'd let anybody, the price is right.
Right.
Molly Hatchet did it.
There was a country artist that did it the exact same year.
Wow.
That Kiss, like within months of that video coming out, a country version of it came out, and I was like, what the hell is this?
It's so odd when you hear that kind of thing in like the same year, the same couple years.
Right.
Usually when people do a cover, it's something older. It's just weird when you hear that. To me, it is.
So this came out in '89, and this was the year that I went to Hollywood. And we walk into a music store one time, and I hear this guy back there playing guitar, like acoustic, and he's playing. We're not even paying much attention. We're up at the front of the store. And then I hear him say, yeah, Paul doesn't think I can play acoustic guitar, but see, something to that effect. And up stands Bruce Kulick in the back. So I'm like, wow, that's great, man. I love Kiss, man. We're huge Kiss fans. So that's the first time I ever got a chance to meet, Bruce Kulick. And that was the first time he played acoustic guitar on a Kiss record. So I was like, that was kind of ironic that I walk in as he's telling the guy that owns the music store, Paul doesn't even think I could play acoustic. But, I met him in Hollywood that year. This was the longest record they did. There was 15 tracks.
Wow.
Tommy Thayer, apparently, I've heard him talk about, he actually has some credits on this record that were uncredited. Apparently he played on Betrayed and The Street Giveth. Yeah,
because they helped Black and Blue come up, and I know he always worked with Kiss.
Did you ever see them?
Just at Rocklahoma when Tommy Thayer wasn't there.
I saw him in '85 on that Asylum tour. They opened the show.
Really?
It was Black and Blue. I know Ted played that. There was probably another band. I can't remember. But yeah, I remember seeing Tommy play '85 with Black and Blue.
Man, and now look at
Jamie St. James.
God, yeah, jeez. But I was going to say, Forever, wasn't that Michael Bolton helped him write that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stanley and Bolton.
Yeah.
Right.
Little note there.
This is where I'll insert the audio clip of Paul saying that every time we play this one, the place lights up like a damn Christmas tree.
Right. Right. So another story of the going out to Hollywood, and you mentioned Michael Bolton. So we go in, back then I was blessed. I had all of my long hair and all that stuff. So we go in this place. We're going to get our hair, taken care of. And it's the same place that Gene went.
Yeah.
I didn't know this until the guy we were working with was telling us about like all the local rock stars and stuff that he did, cut hair, colored hair, did hair extensions, whatever. And he was telling us, about Gene's, how stuff he'd do for Gene's hair. And we walk out, Michael Bolton's sitting there. He's one of the clients too. So
did he have that like amazing?
He was like the big,
yeah.
Yeah. But I always thought that was kind of another, cool fact in terms of the small circle, even in a big city like Hollywood.
Yep, there he is.
There's just all this cross-section and synergy around certain people. And this guy, his name was Glenn. I can't remember his last name. But it was right about the time that Gene got with, is her name Sharon? The lady he's with now?
Shannon Tweed.
Shannon, yeah.
Well, that was followed up by Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, which we've already kind of mentioned.
Yeah.
With the 2 new studio tracks. Did you hate both those? Or did you...
You talking about X and Sex? No, I like that one. Rock Hard. Desmond Child songs. It was less synth driven, and I at that point I had decided that Desmond Child was the 5th. They talk about the 5th Beatle. He was the 5th Kiss member at this point.
Yeah.
It's all the hit songs he'd written for him.
Well, now we've got Revenge.
Nice.
This is where it...
This is, for us, this is one of my favorite records of anything,
right.
And I don't know. Take it away. I don't even know where to start.
Well, I think when you talk about all these albums in a row, there was kind of that progression of the last few albums we talked about that's like really 80s. And then Hot in the Shade kind of gets a little bit heavier. Yeah. Which leads into this, which is totally heavier. But there was at least a noticeable progression of getting to where they're at now. Yeah.
Well, it's like they brought in heavier stuff, but then you'd have like, Take It Off.
Mm-hmm.
Or, Every Time I Look at You, the ballad.
Right.
And so, they really had that. There's a lot of bands, that have been around for a long time where you can see as times change, they kind of change with it. Sometimes it looks corny, and sometimes it did for Kiss, but somehow, when they, grew the goatees and put on the leather and black and all this and went meaner, it still worked because this album's amazing. So, I
love this record.
Yeah, it's so good.
The only song I hate on this record is God Gave Rock and Roll. I don't like those anthem kind of songs. I feel like there were several times that Kiss tried to recreate Rock and Roll All Night, kind of anthem-y or Shout It Out Loud kind of a song, and this was one. It just always felt forced to me, kind of cheesy. But the record, top to bottom, Gene freaking rules on this. He came out, it was like the Gene Simmons that we missed all these years. Every song he sings on this record is the shit.
Spit, come on.
And when I went back and listened to it as part of this, I remembered, how much like a song like Thou Shalt Not. Yeah. I love that song. It's so just in your face and hard rocking. I reconnected with that when I had forgotten that song and kind of forgotten how much I liked that song. But every one of his songs, man, he freaking owned this record.
Yeah, Unholy is one of my absolute favorite Kiss songs of all time. Yeah. And that's another, when they brought back Vinnie Vincent.
Right. Vinnie returns.
He did that. He wrote that in Heart of Chrome.
Right.
With
he
him.
Returned, and Kane Roberts.
And I Just Want It Too. Sorry.
From Alice in Chains era. He had writing credits on Take It Off, which was a great Paul song on this record. Yeah. There were a couple tracks they wrote that didn't make the record. I saw an interview with Paul with like Dave the Snake Sabo and Janie Lane. They'd worked on some stuff with those guys that didn't make the record. It's a very Gene heavy record.
Yeah. I love the Eric Carr drum solo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's awesome. I was going to ask, what's the story again on God Gave Rock and Roll to You, but it's 2? Was there like a...
It's a cover.
Okay.
So I think
that's
that
right.
was the point of putting the 2 there.
Oh.
I don't know.
Cover?
That's weird.
Yeah. But they...
See, I knew it was a cover, or they did...
It was called like... What's that band's name? It starts with an A.
Oh, God. But
I just pulled up the thing a minute ago. Who was it? It says Russ Ballard is one of the writers.
Okay. I didn't know it was a cover.
But they have writing credits on it because they changed a lot of it.
Wow.
I hated that song.
Because it was like on this. It was like on a Bill and Ted movie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it first came out
It
on
was
that.
bogus. Totally bogus. Sorry, man. I love the rest of the record.
Hey, I like it. I'm not going to lie to you. But... I liked
it was
the majority of these songs better, like Domino.
Oh yeah.
When this came out, that was
Paralyzed.
my favorite song on there.
That's a cool song.
Yeah.
Spit. Freaking Domino. I mean, how many strip clubs have you ever been in and not heard Domino?
Yeah, no,
right.
Like every strip club I've ever been in, I've heard Domino.
And Take It Off is perfect for that.
Right.
Too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this is one of those albums I'd drive far and wide across the country to see him play it. Like
if they played from start to finish?
Yeah.
I would go to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, when I was looking at the notes on it, it said that Tommy Thayer was an additional personnel as far as guitars go, but I don't know what that
Which
is
one?
doing.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, they obviously weren't trying to, publicize that stuff back when it happened. And then, like, as historians try to piece stuff together and you hear these guys talking interviews about, well, I was there, and you don't really know for sure who did what and when.
Why would you need to bring someone else in if you got Bruce Kulick, I mean, I don't know.
Well, they had Thayer involved on Hot in the Shade, and, obviously going back to when the Ace era, Bob Kulick there. And one of my favorite stories about that was, I know we didn't talk about it when we were talking around the Alive 2 stuff, but Bob Kulick was talking one time about how he's in there recording tracks and he walks out and Ace is sitting in the lobby with a glass of wine and is like, well, how did I sound? And Bob's like, better than you ever have.
Oh,
I mean, how weird had that was that back then?
Awkward.
But that's you could totally see Ace doing that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Well, the next album they released was Unplugged.
There was a big break too between,
Yep.
when you had
It was like 3 years on it.
Revenge and then
3 years.
and then when Unplugged comes out.
And this to me is just, I was at that point where I've been a pretty big fan now for a few years, so I absolutely love this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the acoustic version of Coming Home is just amazing. I dare say I like it better than the original one.
I do too. There's nothing on this Unplugged thing that I was not just blown away with. When they did this, it was so cool. And then when the Ace and Peter come out, you're like, holy shit.
It was really something.
Yeah. And the fan reaction was so strong. That's what fueled the reunion tours, So great.
They did a World Without Heroes on this. I mean, wow.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything they did that I wasn't crazy about. I thought their Unplugged session was awesome.
Yeah,
that record, just like Alive, if you were going to just get a handful of Kiss records, get this one. It's a great, great, great record.
And it's another one that Bruce Kulick shined on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and it was basically his final release.
Pretty much.
Or no, I take that back. There was one more after that.
We got Carnival.
Right. But Carnival of Souls, which would be the final release with Bruce Kulick before they went off to the reunion and everything. Right. And even Eric Singer for a while. But I remember when it came out, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
But I didn't dislike it. And I just didn't listen to it for a long time. But going back, I mean, I dig it.
It's really good.
It's real grungy.
Yeah. Because you could tell
it's
they were
really
trying
dark.
And again, well, like I said, they they're chameleons when it comes to this kind of era stuff. But it's still, because they're such great songwriters, it still sounds, they still pull it off.
Well, Bruce had a lot of input on this record, and a lot of ways, I know this probably is in some ways some of his favorite stuff because he got to really have a lot of contributions. He gets to sing a song.
Yeah.
He sings the I Walk Alone song, and that to me has got a very King's X feel to it. But when I hear the song In the Mirror,
mm-hmm.
Soundgarden could have recorded that song. It sounds like a Chris Cornell Soundgarden song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Master and Slave, same way. Those songs to me are very reminiscent of that grungy, Soundgarden-y kind of songs. And then the Child's Hood End song.
Yeah,
that's just a cool song.
It is.
And when this record came out, I'm like Trent, I was like, I'm not into this. But when we went back and re-listened to as part of this, there were several songs that I actually was like, I kind of dig this.
But when it came out, I love Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kind of bugged me, I guess, because
they were trying to do it.
Kiss,
Yeah.
But so going back once you're separated from that,
it's aged well.
Yeah.
It's definitely been one of those records that over time you look back and you're like, it's a good record. There were some good songs. I'm not going to say top to bottom it was a strong record. But there's 4 or 5 songs off of there that I think have aged fairly well.
And you mentioned I Walk Alone. That to me sounds the most natural of a song,
mm-hmm.
real. And
mm-hmm.
maybe that's because Kulick just had complete control over it.
Yeah. Right.
But that was also the biggest, you mentioned it with Unplugged, but that was from 92 to 97. So that was the biggest gap.
Right.
By far of any releases they ever did as far as studio albums go.
Just kind of seemed to me like they were saying, hey guys, we're getting ready to go on, this reunion tour. This is probably the last thing we're going to do. Y'all spread your wings a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of leeway on this record. Kind of like a parting shot for those guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, for Bruce anyway.
Right.
Because then they brought Eric back later, but.
Well, Psycho Circus up next, and I remember the same kind of thing when that came out. I'm like, I don't care for this, even though it sounded more like Kiss than Carnival of Souls. But going back, it's another one that I like now.
I always, it had some real catchy stuff, and it sounded, and a lot of it to me, this record was kind of corny to me, but like I said, there's a lot of catchy stuff. Raise Your Glasses and We Are One. I liked it anyways.
Well, it's the first album that really went back to the 70s style sound.
Yeah.
Since they left that,
I think there's only one track, though, that all 4 members appear.
And
I think it's pieced together with a lot of session stuff.
I know that a lot of this was just, like you said, pieced together. But, it came out nonetheless.
I think it was the Into the Void song was the one that they all were on. But it just seemed to me like it was they were riding on the momentum of Unplugged. Mm-hmm. It was a marketing, let's ride this and make the most of it and give the fans what they want. The content on Psycho Circus to me wasn't that great. Into the Void, this classic Ace, I like that one. That's the one track I like. Psycho Circus, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that Pledge of Allegiance song, forget it. Or You Wanted the Best, that kind of stuff. I hate those songs.
And that Pledge of Allegiance thing kind of sounds like the anthem-y thing you were talking about.
I'm not into that, man. It's like they're trying to manufacture another anthem, and maybe I'm the only person in the world that thinks that. And if I am, sorry to the songwriters, but it just wasn't working for me.
Last night I searched some live sets from YouTube. And there's some concert from Switzerland from 6-7 years ago. And they opened with Psycho Circus. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't ask for a more anticlimactic opener. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't look like they were into it. The crowd was just, they were just staring. For an opener, they should have picked something else.
This is what.
And that's a decent song, like you said, but still, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they played it live when I saw them last year.
Oh, yeah.
But it was in the middle of the set, so people were fine with it. I didn't see anybody looking pissed off, but that would have been weird to, open show with.
No kidding.
I was still such a Kiss nerd when this happened. Like, they premiered it, right, on the radio at some station that I was, tuned into. And I freaking was, like, waiting to hear it, It's like, this is the Kiss record I haven't heard since I was a little kid. And then I'm like, so Psycho Circus, comes on. And I'm like, I like that song. And then it just went downhill. Like, halfway through the premiere, I'm like, I just turned it off. Like, no.
I'm sorry, man.
You crushed my dreams. And then, years later, I read that it wasn't even all four of them, and I was like, well,
there you go.
Yeah.
The one song that's my favorite is the song they were all on, Into the Void.
Well, Sonic Boom comes out. I mean...
I have no input on this one.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I thought it was a decent continuation of the sound, like of trying to make that classic sound, but I thought the song Never Enough had the most classic Kiss sound of anything since the mid 80s, probably,
Well, now this is the first one with like Tommy and Eric and all that, right?
Right.
Of course. And to me, it's like, I don't know, it's like I like these last two records, Sonic Boom and Monster. I like them better than Psycho Circus, but it's just like I listen to it as if it's not Kiss. I listen to it as like it's a pretty cool rock band that are they got some good rock songs on here, and they sound great. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just like I like it, but it's just not the same.
I feel bad for Tommy because he's very good.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
And I know he gets a lot of grief about doing the Ace persona and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. If Kiss called me up and said, "Hey, you want to go on world tours with us and wear Ace Frehley shit?" I'd be like, "Yeah." I can't be faulting him or hating him for that, but I feel bad for him in some ways because he is so talented. Mm-hmm. That he didn't really get to contribute on an iconic record like Bruce Kulick did or Vinnie Vincent did. That in a lot of ways he'll probably never really have his own due as being a member of Kiss, because this record to me was just not it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably liked Monster a little better.
I did. Yeah,
I mean, it was a little bit heavier in Sonic Boom.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, there's like not a ton of it that's memorable to me. I mean, I like Take Me Down Below. I thought that was a cool song.
I
Both
think
of them sing on that. But.
If Hell or Hallelujah.
Hell or Hallelujah.
Yeah, Hell or Hallelujah, and then Eat Your Heart Out. Those are pretty memorable. But and these last two were, if I'm not mistaken, totally produced by Paul Stanley. I think. And I thought that was, if you're going to have these two other guys, at least, I thought that was cool that Paul Stanley just took the reins on it then. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to find positive stuff in the midst of, kind of what they're, I don't know, I'm falling apart here, but because it just, I don't know, they should just maybe... It's just kind of winding down for these guys.
Right.
What I'm trying to get to.
I think they've made a conscious decision to continue the momentum they have on the classic songs, the makeup, the personas of that, which probably in some ways, ironically, kind of depletes the creativity of something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're living in the past, so even like the new stuff they've done... It's like they're trying to recreate that rather than like be what this new Kiss is to me. And I may be they in the rehearsal rooms, it may be something completely different. Mm-hmm. But as a fan, that's what I see.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with you never putting out another record. That's okay. Just tour, playing the songs that we all know and love, and that's cool. If you're going to put out a new record, I would rather see them do kind of like almost a carnival record. Just turn these guys loose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Write something that's new and unique to this version, these four guys.
Yeah. But instead they're doing the formula.
It's like they're trying to recreate, some classic Kiss record.
Because you've got the Tommy song, which is the Ace song. Mm-hmm. You got Eric gets to sing a song, which is like a Peter song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're great. Those guys are great.
Yeah,
they're really talented guys.
Yeah.
But they had writing credits on almost every single song.
Yeah.
On that album, maybe except maybe 2.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm sure they influenced how he wrote.
It's just not.
Whatever you want.
It's just not connecting with me in terms of sounding new and fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just feel like it's kind of staying in that. I don't know. Just not for me. The new era.
So, now that we're done going over these records, and we're kind of talking about it anyways. They're kind of hinting around to like another farewell thing, aren't they?
I've heard them hint around at that, and I've heard them hint around at, well, at some point there'll be a Kiss band, but it won't be any original members.
Yeah. So, what do you guys...
Well, there's that thing where supposedly they trademarked, what was it, In the End? Or the
That's
end,
right.
The end of the road or something.
End of the road, that's it. So, it's like, what are they doing?
I think it'd be really cool if, Mitch LaFon, because you'd seen that as well. He posted that he wishes on their final tour they would do something where they just brought everybody along, which they probably would never do that.
Like everybody,
but
like different eras.
Had Bruce Kulick out there, Tommy Thayer,
Ace, Vinnie Vincent.
Yeah. Just, something like that, I'd definitely go see.
Yeah.
If they just came here and it's the same.
That'd be almost kind of like the Hendrix experience thing that we went to, where it was like just like every 2 or 3 songs was like another guitar player coming out. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. And so do you think they will do like a licensed Kiss tribute?
I think that'll be the death of it, because
I don't think it would, because they're already playing
Kiss
casinos
fans
now.
are just like, forget that, man.
Well, they're still playing. They just do the casinos to like do those shows.
Yeah.
We fill this place.
That'll be the end of it to me.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just another officially licensed, cover band. Well, guess what? Well, tonight, Tulsa's very own Dress to Kill Kiss band is playing. It's just a bigger version of that.
Yep, exactly.
But you got to think, so many people that don't pay attention or really care. There's most people do care, but there's a ton of, like, Foreigner's been touring for years
without anybody,
with Mick Brown there, and all of a sudden he's not even there.
Well,
and there's not a single original member in the band.
That's a fair point.
Sell out casinos.
That's a fair point. You'd probably have to take a step or 2 notch down. They're not going to be selling out arenas or
there'd be all casinos or maybe theaters.
Maybe a couple thousand.
But that's an easy way to make money, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I think his kid, Gene Simmons' kid Nick, is going to be the new Gene Simmons.
That's a good theory.
Because when I was married, my ex loved all those reality shows, and we always had to watch his stupid reality show. And his kid was always working on music, wanted to be in a band, and wanted to do this. And you heard about on Blabbermouth, he was working on his own music. Then all of a sudden, he just goes away, and you don't ever see or hear anything of him. And he's a spitting image of his dad. He's tall, and they've always said, Kiss isn't about the 4 of us. It can go on without us. And I just think that might be one thing they do to like keep some kind of like familiarity. Keep the
I can see Paul stepping away. I don't know that Gene could ever be like not in the limelight. Right? I think Gene would have a hard time with that.
He probably would.
But
that's one theory I have. So I don't know.
The last month or 2, where Ace Frehley showed up at several of his
I could totally see a reunion, some reunion,
and then now Vinnie Vincent.
Vinnie
but I don't
Vincent,
see Peter coming back.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
No, I don't think.
I think all they, no, not Peter, but I think all they need is Ace to be able to sell more tickets.
Right.
Yeah. They don't need both of them.
And
it's kind of like Guns N' Roses. I wish Izzy was there, but they don't need him to put asses in the seats like they needed Slash and Duff.
If they did bring Peter, I think they'd probably do like the 2 drummer thing.
Well, that'd be cool
too.
Yeah.
I can't see them.
Or a hologram of Eric Carr would be cool.
No holograms, goddammit.
I was a big Eric Carr fan.
Yeah. I think if they did something like, this is our last show in New York or something, and they brought Peter out, I'm sure he would do it.
A couple songs.
Like, even just to take a bow or something, right. I don't know. But
let him sing Beth.
Yeah, because he's older than all of them. He's already in his 70s now, so, I don't know,
That would be cool. He could come out and do a couple of his songs.
Yeah.
Hard Luck Woman and Beth.
Definitely.
Yeah. I would go. I would, unless it's like $200 or $300. Then I'd be like, I don't know about all that. But
hey, if Gene Simmons is involved, it'll be a pricey ticket.
even like this recent thing they did over here in Tulsa at the casino was like very expensive for that little place. I was like, yeah, guys.
Well, it's because they know they can sell it out.
Yeah.
Like I love y'all, man, but I ain't doing that.
Did they have, what kind of show did they have for that size of stage?
They still had the risers where they went up.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was just on a smaller
Do
level.
they have the big flames and bombs and everything going off too, or?
Yeah, but it wasn't. I remember they did the flames and stuff. I don't think they
down.
did, like all the, there's always explosions going on. That didn't happen, but the stuff like out of Thayer's guitar when it shoots out and all that stuff happened.
Wow. Nice.
You mean the Ace Frehley?
Oh,
I said Thayer's guitar. I didn't say out of
He got you, Trent.
I was just like, man,
Ace wasn't up there, man.
I know, but that's his gimmick.
Yeah, I know. Well, you kind of alluded to it saying you're cool, but I did want to ask, are you, besides saying you would do it, are you cool with the fact that Tommy Thayer's there and acting like Ace and Criss, Eric Singer's acting like Criss, or should they have gave them their own personas like they did, the Fox and all that other stuff?
Honestly, I think they did it the right way, because fans at this point want classic Kiss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think Gene and Paul were very, very astute back in the 70s or 80s when Ace and Peter didn't think that the likenesses were valuable at all because Kiss was kind of out of favor with fans and they sold them their rights to the likenesses. What a great investment, for Paul and Gene to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kudos to those guys to having vision. It's the right thing to do for Kiss, and Kiss fans want to see those classic images. But, I'd be lying if there wasn't a small part. If you're like a diehard Ace fan, seeing someone basically being Ace and it's not Ace it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
It is. And Tommy, I would never hate on the guy. He's a great player, and from by all accounts, he's a super guy, just super nice guy. But it ain't Ace, man. It ain't Ace.
And but would crowds today have been receptive if it was like the new guys, the Dog and the Mongoose?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, see, I don't.
It got ridiculous with the Wizard and even the Fox. The Fox was kind of cool, but the Wizard thing was ridiculous.
The Onk,
whatever. That was totally ridiculous.
Well, when you think, I heard some interview with Gene Simmons, probably on Jericho or something, where he was talking about just that. He said people just know those four faces.
Mm-hmm.
So why would we not benefit from that?
It was a hell of a move, and I'm sure that in some ways, Ace and Peter have to be kicking themselves in the ass for giving up those likenesses.
Yeah.
But they didn't think they were valuable.
Right.
Oh, you want to pay me X number of dollars to sign away my rights to my image? So be it. They did. They took whatever offer they got back then, and I would say those likenesses are probably a lot more valuable than whatever they signed them away to be.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
So.
Well, overall, going through all this, there's way more hits than misses, I think, so.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at it that way, there's only a few spots where you're just kind of like, But.
Kiss catches a bad rap. People kind of give them a lot of grief about being more image-based than substance-based, but you're talking about a band that spanned over 40 years. And, a lot of bands that had a lot more credibility as musicians or songwriters have never spanned that kind of a career. So you got to give it up to these guys. They kept it simple. They had better eras than others, but a career like that, you got to give these guys respect, man.
Oh,
totally,
yeah, definitely. Just the sheer output alone, whether it was good or bad or whatever era it sounded like. They can just peel songs off of these guys, You know, 249 songs. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And that's just what we haven't heard. So that's pretty cool in and of itself.
All right.
Well, we appreciate you going through this with us.
Man, thanks for inviting me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're the first person we had to do one of these with us. It makes,
it's been
makes
awesome,
more sense
man.
to bring someone in that knows.
Yeah.
Because we're big fans, but you know more than us.
Right.
Because you're a bigger fan. But.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate the invitation, man. It means a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
There you go. Every album in a row from Kiss. Thank you once again to CJ McClellan from GRIND for joining us and dropping a lot of knowledge there.
A lot of knowledge. Yeah. He knew his stuff. Very helpful, and I learned some stuff, so it was great.
Yeah, at We Are The Grind. Look him up on Facebook and Twitter. Listen to their songs on Reverb Nation. They're great, just great hard rock band. If you're a Kiss fan, I wouldn't see why you wouldn't like these guys.
Exactly.
Well, like we mentioned earlier, there's many of these other Every Album in a Row. Go to our YouTube page at The Thunder Underground. Eventually, we're going to have them all up here where you can listen to them everywhere else. SoundCloud, YouTube. I already said YouTube, but SoundCloud, Google, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, all that stuff. But in the time being, you can check out ones from Motley Crue, Pantera, Guns N' Roses, Ozzy, Metallica, Megadeth. And we've got more of these coming down the line.
Yes, we do.
If you like what you just heard, you obviously are a Kiss fan if you're still listening. Probably. Unless you just love Jason. Which is highly possible.
It's not. But anyways.
Right. So what you need to do is go listen to Gene Simmons on this podcast.
Yes.
He was on episode 116. That was pretty, what's the right word, surreal?
It was. It really was.
It was a podcast that came together real quick within a day or two. Like we said on that episode, a big shout out to Sunshine Seawright for setting that up for us. And that was a cool experience because so many people like to bag on Gene, but he was one of the coolest dudes that we've done a podcast with.
Yeah, I mean, we've been treated worse by lesser people.
That's for sure.
Gene Simmons couldn't have been more of a gentleman and more inviting. And like you said, it came together real quick. We didn't even have time to get nervous.
Right.
We were just kind of thrown into it. And so it was a pretty cool experience. And we have also had Bruce Kulick on the podcast.
Yeah, later on he came on, talked about all kinds of stuff, some of the Kiss stuff.
Yes.
Everything else he's got going on. Even talked about Michael Bolton and Billy Squier.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
I know you love Billy Squier.
Obviously.
Hell yeah.
Only assholes don't love Billy Squier. People I just called Jason an asshole. So.
Yeah. Big old pause there. I wonder. I'm not a Billy Squier guy. Sorry.
Well, in non-Kiss related stuff, we've got tons of interviews, tons where we just talk. Go back and check out some of these interviews with guys from bands like Seven Dust, Shinedown, Megadeth, Dave Elfson, and Chris Broderick have both been on this podcast. We've had guys from Superjoint, Down, Crowbar. We've had glam rock dudes from bands like Europe, Warrant, Trickster, Firehouse, Tyketto, Lillian Axe, Bullet Boys. We've had on heavy stuff like Death Angel, Battlecross, Insight, Wino from The Obsessed. You like that kind of stuff? Had on guys from King and Truck Fighters. Like I said, Kirk Winstein. The list is endless, people. Go back and check these out. SoundCloud.com/Thunder-Underground. All right. Got any final Kiss-related nuggets to throw out to the world?
I don't think so. I think we have covered everything Kiss-related that we can cover in this episode.
That's right.
That's for damn sure.
Revenge is the greatest Kiss album, so if you agree or don't agree, write something here in the comments on Facebook or on SoundCloud. Let us know what your favorite Kiss album is.
Nothing's going to change me.
Man, you should give the spiel from Rock and Roll All Night. God gave rock and roll to you too right now.
Oh, God. You know what? At any time, I could probably remember it. But now that you put me on the spot, I probably couldn't do it.
I know life sometimes brings you down. I know life sometimes can be hard. But we've been given a gift.
Drag.
Oh, that's right.
But people, we have been given a gift. We have been given a road. And that road's name is rock and roll.
There you go.
Oh, fuck.
Until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.